don't think you can buy beer or anything in New York on a Sunday.
What is it, Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't buy beer at New York? Is this a real law?
Yeah, because I worked at a bar, and like they'd run out of beer, and it was just like, okay, well, like shit, we can't go stock up or anything. There was a liquor store across the street, but
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
In New York City, you could not do that.
well, upstate New York.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know about New York City.
Where upstate? Like, have you been to Ithaca?
Kind of around there. Like,
Okay.
I grew up like, you know where Albany is?
Albany, yes.
Like
Okay.
go like an hour and a half like northwest. That's where I
Okay.
grew up.
Oh, okay, sick. I visited Ithaca because Cornell is right over there.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's beautiful over there. That was a college town, man. It was super sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cornell is beautiful. But we're rolling then, correct? Awesome, sweet. Well, welcome to the podcast.
All right.
I'm very excited to have this podcast with you. We randomly met just from you inquiring about getting a gym membership.
Yeah.
But my love for science, and I just randomly commented on your hat, and then now we're here. But if you could tell the people exactly kind of who you are, we can dive into like your background and what you do, and just a little bit about you.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just saying, like I grew up in upstate New York. My first degree was in graphic design. Couldn't find any jobs there because I graduated in like 2008. So yeah, it's pretty shitty. I moved to Maryland with my ex-wife. I just kind of like messed around. Like I've done tons of jobs. Like I've been a security guard, like deli cook. I was a steak chef at one point.
Wow.
When I was in Maryland, I was like an electrician and plumber and stuff like that. And so I went to school down there, like the community college, thinking like I'll do like an electrical engineering degree. Like how hard can that be?
Yeah.
And they didn't have that, but they had network engineering. And I was like, I don't know, it says engineer in the name.
Yeah.
Like same thing, probably.
Engineer must be
not at all.
really.
And then like I think one semester into that degree, they told me, we don't know how you signed up for this. That degree doesn't exist.
No way.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what do I do? And they were like, well, how about you just take a bunch of cybersecurity courses instead, and we'll count that towards your degree, and you'll graduate with this degree that we don't actually have. And I was like, all right, like, cool.
That was fine.
Yeah.
And you graduated with the made-up degree.
Yeah,
At the time.
Yeah, exactly. But like through that, like I learned I'm really good at cybersecurity, like hacking and stuff like that.
Okay.
I met one dude who ran the lab there. Like I did some competitions, like hacking competitions and whatnot. And he went on to work for NASA, and I started working at the college just doing like IT admin stuff.
Okay.
And then literally like I think 6 months later or something, he reached out to me and was like, hey, they're looking for people. I gave him your name. The only issue is like you have to have a bachelor's degree or higher. And I only had an associate's. So I started going to WGU, which is Western Governors University, and they let you go at your own pace. So I knocked out my bachelor's in like a year and like 3 months or something like that.
Okay.
And so then I was able to like keep I started temporary there, and it was kind of like, hey, we're going to kick you to the curb if you don't finish your degree.
Yeah.
So I like got that done as fast as
Temporary at NASA.
possible. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
And then your job description there was what? Was cybersecurity, or what was it?
Like at first it was just like system admin.
Okay.
I just kind of did typical IT stuff and whatever, and like build up the systems. And yeah, I just kind of like moved from there to being like, now I'm what's called like an information systems security like engineer. Like I basically, for the missions I work on, I build all the ground systems that talk to the satellite, like when it's doing orbits and passes and stuff like that. And make sure everything's like hooked up, make sure everything's secure, like shit like that.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
So is there NASA in San Diego?
No. The closest one is JPL.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then there's Ames, like much further north.
Okay, gotcha. So do you work online from San Diego? Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Yeah. So
Because I was about to say, I was like, NASA? And you were like, oh, I work for NASA. And I'm like,
Yeah.
San Diego? I'm like, I don't know if there's some secret shit going on.
that was, yeah. So like I was living in DC. I was married at the time. We decided to open up our relationship. So we were like poly.
Oh, wow.
So I met this girl, started dating her too. She was an engineer. She actually got an internship at NASA. but we hit it off and everything. Eventually I got divorced. I moved in with her for a little bit. And then she got the call like, hey, we want to move you to New Mexico.
Wow.
And at the time I got sick of like driving in to my base. Everything I do is virtual. So like I was remote, like I drive down through all the DC traffic and shit, get there, and then remote into my systems were like next door to me. And I was like, I could just do this from home.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would notice. And so I like 2 days out of the week, I'd start doing that, then 3, then 4.
Yeah.
Then I just didn't go in unless there was like a major meeting.
Yeah.
And so when I told them like, hey, I'm thinking about moving to New Mexico with her, they were like, oh, like that sucks, I'm sorry to lose you. And I was like, well, I haven't been to work physically in like a year and a half and you haven't noticed.
You told them that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, huh, all right, I guess you could just keep doing that.
Really? Okay, that's awesome.
This was like 3 months before COVID hit.
Oh, that was perfect.
Yeah.
You literally created that. You were like, oh man, they probably were like even better because everyone was working remote during COVID anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you've been remote ever since.
Yep. And then, things didn't work out with her.
Yeah.
And I met my current girlfriend in New Mexico, and then she got a job in San Diego, and I was like, all right, let's move there. Like,
And how long have you been here?
oh, I think I've been here for almost 3 years now. Yeah, like 3 years in May. Yeah.
I like San Diego.
It's not, it's crazy expensive here, man. But
Tell me about it.
especially coming from New Mexico, we were renting a place that was like a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath for like $2,200 a month.
Well, here it's $9 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, 4-bedroom. Like that's you're talking like the $6,000-$7,000 range to rent.
Yeah. It's been up and down. Like, we drove out here from New Mexico, tried to find a place. We were like, all these places suck, for the price range.
Yeah.
And I found a guy that was like kind of renting temporary. So we moved out here, rented with him, found a place to live down in, kind of near Chula Vista, like a little bit
National City. San Ysidro.
like kind of like deserty area. Can't remember the name of it.
It's all a little deserty down there.
Yeah. It's like the southeast area. But anyways, that place burned down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So like me and her had gone to like the store that night. Like I was actually supposed to fly out for like a residency thing for my doctorate in Maryland. And we went to the store and a roommate called us and was like, the house is on fire.
No way. Yeah, your
Yeah.
was it an apartment complex or like?
No, it was like a full home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was like, what the hell do you mean it's on fire?
Yeah.
So, we were rushing back, like, I'm running all these red lights and everything like that. And we get there and there's like fire trucks up the hill to this house and you can see the fire as we're driving. And I was like, oh shit. Cause we have animals,
Yeah.
like what's going on? Like, thankfully all the animals were safe. Roommate was safe,
Yeah.
everything, but just trying to figure out what to do.
Did it burn to the ground?
The garage burnt down in most of like the kitchen area and they just called like the house was a loss, like totally.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Where are you now? You're in the same area or?
No, we moved from there to like Ocean Beach and then from Ocean Beach now we're in Linda Vista.
Okay, cool. You're right there. What is that? Mission Valley-ish area, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I used to live right in there. It's a cool little spot. It's expensive, but it's very central San Diego. Get to everywhere in 15 minutes.
That's the nice part because the Ocean Beach, it's like, we had to leave and get on to 8 to go anywhere. And during like, certain times.
Traffic.
Yeah, you can't leave.
Yeah, you cannot leave. Yeah, Mission Valley it's a tough spot to live, but it is cool that it is, when there is no traffic, it's very central to pretty much everything. But I'm really glad that you at least like it right here. I mean, but besides the price, it's pretty killer.
Oh, like, yeah, it's gorgeous here.
Yeah.
People told me you got to pay the sunshine tax.
Yeah, sunshine tax, baby.
Yeah, I know that tax was so freaking expensive.
It's really expensive. Even like, just California rules in general, like owning a business and stuff like that, it is set up for failure. So that's why
they nickel dime you here.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I had a bill come in that was a property tax for my actual property in the gym that I own.
Yeah.
And it was like $200. And I was like, what is this for? Call them and everything. And it was literally like, well, it's for the property that you own. You have to pay taxes on it. Like I have to report what equipment I have. And then they tax that. And I was like, it's a new tax for
Wow.
business owners. And I'm like, they literally want me to go to business. That's what it feels like.
It's because like I bought an electric car when I moved here because I
Mm.
thought gas prices were so crazy. I was driving a 370Z at the time,
Oh, yeah.
and I didn't realize they charge you like, yeah, the property tax is percentage based off the sticker price.
Mm.
And that doesn't matter. Like, you know, I've lost like half the value in the car since I bought it.
Yeah.
That tax is still based on like, you know, like a
The
certain
original-
percentage.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks.
Oh, yeah. They'll do anything they can to get one. Because, I mean, if you think about it, it's every $100 to $200 they charge you. They're doing that per 3 million people that are here. That's a lot of money.
I mean, they sent me an email that was like, you got to pay for like to license your dog.
Oh yeah, they'll charge whatever they can. $50 times a million, $50 million. So they anything they can do to the masses, they'll just charge you for it. And that's I don't know your stance on Newsom and stuff like that, but man, he lives up to the name of freaking the worst governor.
Yes.
He is just every little thing, and it really does suck.
Yeah, I don't like him. Like, you know, like I'm liberal and leftist.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he's too fake.
Yeah,
Like,
he got in with the handsome card.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
gives me like the JFK, like smooth looking guy, and then everyone was, oh, this guy looks like a straight shooter.
Yeah.
But there's definitely something that needs to change in California, especially like we were talking about the cleaning up thing in San Francisco. That was ridiculous, but. I mean, the government right now, we can dive into that. There's some stuff that needs to be changed as far as like, I don't know if you say you're left, you're not a Trump guy then?
No.
Not really?
No.
Do you like any of the stuff that's going on as far as like getting rid of some of the corruption though that's going on in the government?
Like, so here's the thing. Like, I agree. Like, there's a lot of like corruption and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The way they're going about it, though, it's like you finding out that like the Department of Labor is spending like $1 million on like Microsoft licenses that they're not using,
Yeah.
or like $1 million here or there. Like, that's a pittance.
Yeah.
If you're talking like the military and what they're wasting money on,
Burning through money.
yeah, just burning money on like new jets. There was like, if we had a fact check, we'd fact check this, but like I remember there was a pallet of like $1 billion or something sent to Iraq like during the war started. That was in a warehouse and just vanished. No accountability. It was just kind of like, meh, like, whatever, a few $1 billion gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's an actual portion. Like, I think, again, like just shooting from the hip here, but if you were to take like 10% of the military's budget for a year, you could solve homelessness in the country.
Yeah.
Completely. Like, not just like every year take 10%, just take 10% once and you're good.
Yeah. Well, they've even like said that there's so much money being spent in the military that if we cut the budget to like even a quarter of the way down, we would be like, I think we're $3 trillion in debt or something like that. It would cut it in half. Like literally just a quarter. Like, that's so much money. I think we spend $1 trillion a year in military in the military, and I'm just like, that's insanity.
I think, I don't know if it's still true, but like the going thing was like NASA gets 1% of what the military gets.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and we're able to make a lot of stuff happen. But, it's kind of tied together with, duct tape and hope.
Yeah.
But
literally.
Yeah.
I've is it true? I guess there's a couple questions I could ask you because I heard that NASA, I don't know how long ago, I don't know if this was in the 90s, but that NASA was really into like ocean exploration before they were into space exploration.
Yeah. I think there's parts that kind of look into that.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know the reason why they switched? Because I'm pretty sure it was in the 90s that they were like mapping the oceans and they pretty much went, nah, we're going to do space. Like, do you not have any knowledge of that? Or
I don't know why they would swap, like I would imagine.
Because the budget was going into a lot of ocean exploration and mapping, and kind of, I don't know if they just saw kind of like, it's maybe not in the interest of the people or something like that.
That's a driving factor. A lot of it's, because it all comes down to politics. So like,
for sure.
Like a lot of what we do is really important, but if people don't see the big shiny, like, rockets going off or landing on the moon or something like that, people lose interest. And so it's kind of hard to be like, we want to take, like $10 billion of taxpayer money, and we want to start mapping out like the Marianas Trench and stuff like that, because that's really important.
Yeah.
But people are gonna be like, well, it's boring as hell.
Yeah.
Like,
So I think it's fascinating, but I get it, because even I'm like, when I, even seeing Elon's rocket getting caught by the arms, have you seen that video?
yeah.
Yeah. Like something like that. I'm just like in awe.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Where it's like, oh, here's the Marianas Trench. It's like, looks like this.
It's like, oh, it's a big gap down really far. Cool. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Fall underwater. Cool.
Do you think that it's as far as like these private, like SpaceX, some of these private organizations, is that hindering NASA's growth?
No, like,
or excelling it, or maybe?
It's a give and take. Like, I think, it's a good thing in the long run, because I think like a lot of stuff, NASA being focused primarily on science, like Virgin can go off and be like, hey, we're going to give you rides up to like, the stratosphere.
I've seen that. It's 15 grand.
Is it 15 grand?
It's 15 grand. I want to do it.
I would totally do that. Like I hate
15
heights.
grand? That's not even bad. I was like, 15 grand, I get to go to 0G?
Yeah.
Do it.
Like, I'm not a fan of heights, but like if I had a chance to go to the moon or something, like I'd do that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you die, but you die a hero.
So I'd rather die in space, man. That'd be pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
But 15 grand, it's pretty cool. It's literally out of Florida. You can fly up to 0G, and you get 6 hours up there.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty long. Cool. Yeah, they have like a literal, like, you go up with other people that paid, and you go up there, and they have like games, and they have like, just 0G activities, and they give you lunch and all that, and it's like a whole day thing. I'm like, well, for 15 grand, I would think you would get something like that, but it's like a normal thing. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know so many people pay for that.
There's a lot of like that reminded me. So my ex, who got like the internship at NASA, was out here in California, and I fly out like once a month to visit her, and she worked at like Dryden and then Ames and stuff like that. And one thing I think it's Dryden, they have Sophia, which I think is retired now, but it was an old 737 plane that they hollowed out and put a space telescope in.
Oh, that's
and they would
cool.
do like 18-hour flights or something like that, like crazy long flights, getting above all the cloud cover and everything, and, be able to look out.
That's awesome.
So really cool. Yeah.
That's super sick.
Yep.
Have you gotten the chance to look? I don't know if NASA has any telescopes like that, or like you get any clearance to like look in some of that kind of stuff, or?
Well, so we do like some joint stuff with the Air Force, which requires clearance, but for the most part, none of our missions are like any clearance or anything. Like, I don't have a security clearance. I have like a public trust. All of our stuff is like publicly available data. Like, if you request for it, you can get it. There's like terabytes of information that most people don't want to sift through or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of my missions is basically what they do is they shoot lasers from Earth, and they bounce them off of other satellites or from the moon. And they read the readings from that, and it tells you like how much the Earth is wobbling and kind of moving around.
Oh yeah. And
all of that data is like, mathified and stuff that's way beyond, my level of understanding. But that's how you have GPS. GPS can kind of like figure out exactly where you are.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah.
Do you think that, based on your knowledge, I want to get into Project Paperclip, what we were talking about before,
right.
But from your understanding, like, of where you're, I don't know how much, like, when I'm trying to put it into words, but like, do you have more information than the general person, I guess? Was that just working for NASA, or is that even higher up? Like talking about that clearance, like, would you know more stuff than the average person that you're not allowed to say, or?
No, not that I'm not allowed to say, like, just that, like, I kind of know more of like the missions going on, or like the plans for like, certain things, like, eventuality is like a hope for building like, a base on the moon, because manufacturing hydrazine, the rocket fuel and everything, like, it takes a lot of effort to get from Earth into space.
Yeah. Well, launching from the moon with no...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be much easier to like propel missions to Mars or other places, from that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like, talk about that.
So is the moon first as far as building some type of like, station on the moon rather than Mars, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't even have enough data to really say like, it's like, we know, you lose, I forget what percentage, but you lose bone mass every year when you're in space as a human. And we don't know how like going to Mars would affect, like, if a woman was pregnant, like, how would that happen? There's so much like missing data there. and just the sheer cost of that and whatnot. So it makes more sense, I think, to go to the moon.
Yeah, for sure. And it's only takes what, a day, not even a couple hours, right?
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah.
It's less than, I think it's right around a day or two or something like that. Where Mars is 2 years, like that's, and we don't even know like how that would affect someone 2 years in space.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other thing I was gonna say is, if we did Mars, I just saw you guys released like super 4K footage of Mars, and I've seen a couple cool things. The temperatures there like are insanely low. So like even on a summer day, it's like negative 180 Celsius or something like that. And I was like, okay, but could we build? Is it like possible to build something that would be habitable like out there? Is that even in the question, or are we just kind of like, we're just gonna explore Mars and then go on to
Yeah, I mean, like, we can build habitats that would probably be able to sustain life. I mean, did you ever watch the movie The Martian? Yeah, The Martian.
Martian,
yeah. Like, it's such a good book.
Yeah.
But like kind of the same thing where we would have to send out like probes and stuff to like deliver things ahead of time, because you can't load up the same spacecraft that you're sending people out with like all these rovers and all this other stuff, because it's just too much weight. So that's another reason why like getting to the moon, kind of like building up things and launching from the moon, where you don't have the Earth's gravitational pull impact. Like you can put more stuff on spacecraft then.
Okay.
Just kind of benefits us in the long run. Yeah.
Okay, got you. So is Mars then, from your stance as NASA, would it be more just like find out what's on there? Is there any type of I've seen like people are looking for organisms and maybe even like possible bacteria that's on Mars, and then once we're done with that, because I've heard back and forth as far as like, are we going to just actually try to go to Mars, just put a person on Mars and then that's it, like kind of like the space race, like get someone on the moon, just to say we did it, I guess. Is that
I mean, that would be a letdown, because it's like okay, cool, like we put someone there, like, maybe we never bring them back.
Yeah.
It's like, first person going there, that's a suicide mission.
Really? Is to like right now, like
right now. And I mean, like, like, cause you don't know, like you said, like, it's like a year plus trip.
Yeah.
Anything could go wrong then. Like, we don't know how they would be affected.
We'll probably send a monkey first. Send the monkey or the dog.
Yeah. So
those guys are heroes, bro. But I get the whole moon thing. I mean, the getting out. Well, the next one would be Titan, right? Which is one of Jupiter's moons. I think Jupiter has like 20 something moons, 27 moons.
Yep.
And Titan supposedly has water, and that would be the next actual habitable planet. Well, it's a moon, but something that we could go and explore and possibly put a civilization be interplanetary. So I think that the moon thing would be more plausible, right? Launching from the moon, but I don't know as far as like how long that would take. Do you know how long that would take to get to?
To like build that up and everything?
Yeah, like we're talking hundreds of years from now or something.
Oh, no,
really?
No, we could do the moon thing. I mean, I would say like 30, 40 years. Like with
that's crazy.
Proper funding and stuff like that. Like I don't think that's that far.
Is that the biggest variable? Is funding?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I thought.
It also doesn't help that like every 4 years now, it's like a shift drastically.
Yeah,
like, that's like what the focus is going to be.
Yeah. No, I get that, and I think I don't know how do you like Elon?
No.
Hate Elon? Really?
I'm not a fan. Like
well, okay. Take no politics aside. What about the stuff he's doing in space? Or you think he's a spaz?
I think Elon himself is trying to think of the word, like most of the stuff that's like credited towards him isn't stuff that he's done.
Yeah, well, he's writing the checks. That's
exactly like he grew up, like I just watched a thing with like one person kind of talking about his history, like he grew up with a really abusive dad, but a really rich abusive dad. So like he has issues there, kind of wanting to be very popular, and the whole him pretending to be the best gamer in the world sort of thing. But like he's had money.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, he's made some smart business investments. Like, I'll give him that, like, but he's had that money to throw around. And it's like, when you, like in this country, like if you start out with a silver spoon, you can make so many like failed attempts at getting rich and still be completely fine and have that safety net. Where if you start out like incredibly poor, like I grew up, super poor. Like I got, the max Pell Grants for going to college. Like I've been on food stamps, like we didn't know, like sometimes, oh, are we gonna be able to pay the mortgage? Like,
yeah. Well, his poor is different than your poor or my poor. Like his poor is still flying in private jets.
Yeah.
He'd be broke.
Like he has so much money that like, he could lose 25% of it and never blink.
Yeah.
Cause like, what is that to him?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would not have a home if I lost 25%.
Yeah.
Like, that's where his poor and our poor is different.
That's why, like,
I get that. Yeah.
Like, I take offense to like the whole idea of like oh, you just have to be like a hard worker. Like he's a super hard worker and he works like X amount of hours. My stepfather worked in a leather mill for all his life, like backbreaking labor and stuff like that. He takes home maybe $20,000 a year.
Oh wow.
Like my dad, growing up, that's all he did. Like he worked, like I came from like a leather town, so they all worked in leather mills and stuff like that. My dad worked in a leather mill all his life and eventually like had diabetes and died. Because his diabetes was so bad that like he'd go to work, try to like, do it. He'd end up in the hospital. Maybe he was an alcoholic as well. Then that job would fire him, because kind of like, last straw sort of thing. And then you find a new job, same thing. Like that just repeat itself over and over again. So yeah, to be like, oh, I work 80 hours a week. Yeah, you also make, $7 billion, like, in the high.
Yeah.
Like you're not working any harder than, someone working in like the Rust Belt of America or like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So none of your family, they all worked in the leather mill. Like you just kind of went stray and went into NASA like randomly.
Basically, like I have cousins. Like I have a cousin that became a dentist. A few cousins. The guy went into like medical services and stuff like that. But I kind of like from my immediate family, I'm the only one that really like beyond like even an associate's degree. Kind of like moved on.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So to dive into some of the NASA stuff, is there? I know we discussed Project Paperclip. What is your take on that whole ordeal? Did you think that, because I think that it was released, because it was covered up, because it was after World War II, which was, what, in 40 something it ended?
In like 46?
Something of that sort, 46, 49, something like that. But right after World War II, if anyone that doesn't know what Project Paperclip is, it was the U.S., recruiting essentially Nazi scientists to come work on the space program and get us to the moon in the space race. Was there any information like not really that leaked to us that you would know or you could share as far as like your perspective or working for NASA?
Like not from working for NASA, like like hidden secrets or skeletons in the closet and stuff.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Like I actually like the one podcast I was doing with my buddy, we did an episode on Paperclip. Kind of talked about, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy who was responsible for the V2 rockets.
Was it Rudolph or von Braun?
Von Braun, yeah.
Werner von Braun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we brought him over. He was basically integral to like getting the rockets and us winning the space race and sort of thing.
Yeah.
But his history is very, very shady.
Oh yeah.
Like, where they built the V2 rockets was like, inside, like, I think it was like a mountain complex or the side of a mountain or something like that. Yeah. But, there was a lot of like Jewish slave labor that happened there.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Like under his watch, like, and there's always the back and forth of like, did he know? Didn't he know? And it's kind of like, as the manager, as the lead,
Well, I think a lot of those people, the scientists, in order to cover their tracks, they pretended that they didn't have such a role in Nazi Germany at the time. And, and there's like plenty of like research and stuff like that to prove that wrong. They were very advocates of what was going on. And, But in order to get out of there, I mean, there was a lot of Nazi escapees at that time. And I feel like, they just said what they needed to say.
Yeah. Like, because like some of that stuff is always sensationalized. So it's like, they're like, well, like I didn't know or anything. And it's like, you weren't the one, like gunning down people or anything.
Yeah.
But you were signing the papers and you were stamping everything. Like, so you had some part in it.
Yeah. Well, it was like Rudolph was one of the ones too that was created I think it was a smellless pesticide, and it was he was the one that gassed everyone.
Yeah,
he gassed all the but he created the smellless gas.
Yeah.
So they didn't even know. So and he was one of the lead scientists and engineers in that whole thing.
Yep.
And that's the crazy part. Well, a main question I would have to ask you is, do you think we would have got to the moon without them?
No.
Yeah, that's
no. I don't think so. Like maybe eventually, but I think public sentiment would have died down, like that fury, especially like if Russia had beat us. Because I mean, you see it now. Like we got to the moon, no one gave a shit afterwards. There's never been like, hey, let's go back or something like that. It was just we won the race. Kennedy got to like flaunt that.
Yeah.
And then
Russia's their space program fell apart after that.
Yeah,
it was bad. Yes, I totally understand that. I mean, we were recruited. I believe this is what we would need low for the fact check, but I'm throwing out. I know it's over 1,000, but it was like 1,400 or 1,600 engineers and scientists.
Yeah.
That's around how many people it was, but that helped us get to the moon. I'm like, that's an absurd number of smart people to get on that job.
And like we did it because if we hadn't done it, the Russians would have.
Oh yeah, that's the cop out right there. Because as an American, you're like, man, that's wrong. But then you're like, well, then Russia would have done the same exact thing, and they would have had that accolade on their belt.
Yeah.
So I guess it was, I guess it's necessary.
You could argue it's a necessary evil. You could say life is shitty. Like sometimes you make the less shitty choice.
But okay, that's good to know. But as far as like NASA in general, would you say that right now private companies are ahead of you guys, or is it are you guys in competition? That's kind of like my biggest question. Is like,
not really. Like we use we use SpaceX now for resupply missions to the ISS.
Oh, okay.
Even though Musk is also saying that he wants to deorbit the ISS now, because
really,
did you see that? He was saying something about like, oh, it was a political game because we had the 2 astronauts up there for a while, and that was all based on politics. We weren't sending them down, and an astronaut actually replied to him, on Twitter, and was like, "You're wrong. It was this. Like, it was always planned to return them at this time and everything." And I can't remember if he called him a pedophile or like he freaked out on him, and then it was like, we need to deorbit that.
Elon freaked out on him?
Yeah. So
you can't catch that guy on Twitter, dude. That guy just does some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't like about Elon, is he's so irrational with some of the stuff, and it's like, as much as I like him doing stuff, it's like sometimes I'm like, just relax and just focus on like, some of the bigger picture stuff.
Yeah, like I think, like public sentiment towards him is very negative. I think he's got a lot of issues, part of me feels bad for the guy because, I'm empathetic. But part of me is just like, I don't like him at all. Like,
well, he looks like he's having a great time, but I don't know what that, everyone else, how they feel about him, but he looks like he's having a grand old time.
I mean, if you have like more money than God,
that's he does sometimes play that role in some stuff, but Elon's a trip, but I do enjoy some of the like, obviously, like you said, it's not like 100% him, but as far as the people that are put together on SpaceX, like they've been doing some crazy stuff.
Oh yeah,
as far as like space exploration and just innovation. So I really enjoy. Not necessarily like Elon himself is kind of like, he's a little bit cringy, but that whole program itself is like, so fascinating.
Yeah, like if you take Elon out of the equation, like everything SpaceX is doing is like awesome. Tesla, amazing, like great. Twitter, like I'm not a huge social media person, so I don't care about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those two, like, it's awesome stuff they're doing, and they're not really in competition with NASA because it's like, I mean, one, they're getting like a shit ton of money from the federal government.
Yeah.
Like, we pay a lot to them. And two, it's like, like they're doing their own thing. Like I was saying, like Virgin Galactic, doing a ride. SpaceX can be like, oh, we could do resupplies and like reduce the cost drastically on that sort of thing. Let NASA, kind of take any funds that might have been going like, towards that research and like start using them for more like, space exploration or, more like, Earth studies and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The science community, when it comes to like anything like space related, is kind of just like meshed, like, like politically, like everyone kind of hates each other in the world. Then when you talk to scientists, like scientists are just like, yeah, like, you know, like I work with people from Russia, I work with people from China, you know, we share all this information, all this stuff and everything. Like
the collaboration.
Yeah.
The people. Okay.
The political appointees and stuff like that, you know, kind of frown on that. I might not like that or anything like that, but like, you know, science gets done.
That's funny because I see that's the human aspect in his like, and then one of my last guys, Alex, that I had in here, he was talking about all the astronauts on the International Space Station and how they really bond together, and they can just go, this is, you know, we should work together on this. And they're
exactly.
China, Russia, like it doesn't matter at that point because you guys are all kind of being, you know, test subjects up there on the International Space Station. It's
like you're trying to better like humanity.
Yeah.
You know, like to say like when you get the view of the Earth, you know, from space, you kind of realize like, but there aren't borders. Like there aren't things that separate us. Like you know, we're all on this one blue sphere in space, and it's like, you know, pretty amazing. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. How close do you think we are to actually putting a man on Mars?
Oh, I would say like 100 years.
Really, 100 years?
I don't think it's, you know, like I don't think.
What's the limitations?
I don't think there's enough data.
Okay, data.
Yeah.
So not even funding or nothing like that. Those are just other, you know.
Yeah, like there's so many unknown variables, and when it comes to like human spaceflight and stuff. Now, like SpaceX might want to do that, and they might find someone that's like, you know, whatever, throw me up there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, okay, cool. But when you're talking about like NASA, like, you know, like when it comes to anything human related, there's so many extra steps to make sure, you know, we're going to get this person back. Like they're going to be safe. Because especially from a public perspective, like, you know, the Challenger.
Are they allowed to do that? Are they allowed to just go like throw someone up there and go, like, let's see?
I mean, if you're a private company, like if SpaceX does it, you know, if they can find someone that's like
NASA, you couldn't.
No.
Yeah. I would think liability,
public funding, stuff like that. You know, like you can't.
What does my money go into throwing this?
Yeah. Like NASA can't just be like, like YOLO. Like
that's literally some Elon shit, right?
Yeah. If you have a private company can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. That's crazy. So 100 years then.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's probably people that know way more better than I do about that, but I would say like it's not feasible.
You think we're trying to do that? I mean, besides SpaceX, is that your guys's next, like, is that the next goal or what's?
I don't know of any like beyond like JPL doing stuff. Like JPLs, you know, are like deep space.
JPL stands for
Jet Propulsion Lab.
Okay.
You know, it's part of Caltech up in LA. But they got like a bunch of jobs slashed just within the past year. They lost a lot of people
from.
I think it was just budget reasons. You know, like,
which I don't understand why they ever cut. They should be increasing your guys' budget. Like, you would think with all the discoveries and all the pictures. I follow you guys on Instagram. I see all these pictures released. I'm like, start a GoFundMe. I'll fucking donate some money, dude. Like, it's so awesome.
Yeah. So like that's crazy. Like I know that's shaking up a lot of stuff there. So, you know,
but there's no like actual next, like this is the big thing we're working on.
Not that I've heard of, you know.
Okay.
You know, like I'm primarily like I work on a lot of like space telescopes and like, you know, some Earth science missions and stuff like that.
Okay.
So like, you know, I might not have just like heard like current plans for Mars and stuff like that. You know, I'm sure like rovers, you know, like probes, stuff like that. That's always kind of like, hey, let's, you know, figure this out, do this thing. But in terms of like, hey, let's work towards putting a man up there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much because like, again, like where's the data? Like we don't have enough data. Like how does a person survive, you know, like 2+ years in space? Like what that effect is going to be on a human body? Like, what's his face? The, Scott Kelly, I think. The astronaut.
Kelly?
Yeah. You know, I think he was on the ISS for like a year or something like that. So, you know, that was our first kind of like major data point of like what does this do to a human body? Like, like the bone loss that he had and that sort of thing. Yeah.
I think I just saw an interview on him and he was telling, because I think you guys said something about like you can't drive a car for 6 weeks after you're coming out from space, after 6+ months or something on ISS. And then on top of it was like, he said that when he was walking, because, you know, being in space, you're so used to 0G that like, you know, you move a muscle and you don't have to contract it again.
Right.
That he said that he felt like he was flopping. He was flopping around. Yeah, like when he was walking, he was like, his legs were, he's so not used to like holding on to contractions of muscles. And that was so interesting. I was like, dang, that's cool. Crazy. Yeah. I want to feel that. That'd be awesome. But it sounds like NASA's more like sectionalized as far as like, what you guys are working on versus what the astronauts and those technicians are working on. Like you guys have different, categories, correct?
Yeah. And like each NASA base itself is kind of does its own thing.
Okay.
Like Goddard, which I work out of, does a lot of like Earth science missions, a lot of space telescopes, stuff like that. Marshall does a lot of like research, like, a guy down in Marshall that was like kind of developing like new spacesuits, stuff like that. You have Kennedy, which does the launches, things like that. JPL does the deep space stuff. You have Ames, which is in California. They do a lot of, I think more like just flight oriented stuff. Like NASA's not all space. Like they do a lot of like plane things. I met a cool guy there that was like actually developing gliders for Mars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was really cool.
They put up a drone there, and I saw some footage of the drone, but it only took pictures, which I'm like, why would you not make that video? Like some of the stuff that I'm like, dang it, dude, they should have done. Well, I don't know if that's just kept in the dark, like that's for their, or that's truly did they release it pretty much everything?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So as far as your like, your section of NASA, what is your guys' biggest, like, what's the big thing coming up right now, or what are you guys working on?
I mean, like I'm working on a space telescope.
Space telescope, okay.
The Roman space telescope.
Roman space telescope. Is that different than Hubble or?
Yeah, well, like Hubble's old.
Yeah, very old.
Yeah, like I actually worked under Hubble's offices, like when I first started there.
Okay, cool.
It's cool. They got like a little mock-up like Hubble telescope.
That's
like
sick.
Auditorium area, but we just launched JWST, which I did like a little bit of work on. And then Roman's going up.
Is that a new telescope?
James Webb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And, that was...
Oh, you said James Webb?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Webb.
JWST.
Yeah, JWST. You guys use so many acronyms. I'm like, it's so good. It's hard to get
acronyms. The acronyms are fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah, I bet. It's even, I research it a lot, and I'm like, what does that stand for again? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
We joke, too, because like half the time you'll see an acronym, and it's like, oh, you had to like reverse engineer the acronym.
Literally.
The words, just because you wanted a cool little thing.
Yeah, exactly. But James Webb, I've seen some awesome stuff from that. Where is that right now currently in our solar system?
That's in, we'd have to fact check this, but I think that's in Lagrange point 3.
Where the hell is that?
So like, because I don't do aerospace, like I just get like basic understanding. So there's certain Lagrange points, and that means it's behind Earth so that the sun can't like hit it.
Okay.
It's always kind of like facing away. Like as we orbit around the sun, it's facing away from the sun, and it's got the Earth to its back to, stop any sunlight hitting and whatnot. And that's just a stationary point. Like the gravity fields and everything will keep it just there. So it's not orbiting the Earth or anything. It's just stuck in static and just kind of moving around with us.
And how does it stay static?
Just the gravitational fields. The gravity is so like pulling from every direction there that it's able to just, you just plop it there.
Interesting. So whereas Hubble we launched and it's slowly...
Yeah, I don't know like where Hubble... I don't think Hubble orbits us. But I'm not entirely sure.
I think Hubble is, unless I'm thinking of something else, but I think Hubble is right now, it's right around Jupiter right now.
There might be something else, because like Hubble should be, because we had the whole issue when we launched Hubble, the lens.
Or am I thinking Voyager? Or is
you thinking, well, Voyager 2 is like beyond our solar system.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, it just passed Pluto. Okay, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. So Hubble is in that same realm as far as James Webb. It's in that dead point.
It's fairly close because we set up like one of our last space shuttle missions was to go fix Hubble because the lens was messed up. And so all the pictures came back blurry, and we were like, oh shit, we just spent a lot of money.
Got a smudge.
Yeah. So. And again, I can't remember the dude's name. I feel like it was Mike or Mark. Like I met him one time at Goddard. He was signing books, but like that was one of the last shuttle missions he was part of, and he went up and like helped fix that.
And you said that one's where's Hubble right now?
Somewhere near Earth, but I'm not sure. It's got to be like in one of the Lagrange points, I would think.
Farther than the moon, or
no, I don't think
somewhere in between.
Farther than the moon.
Okay.
But
is that just so? Why does that? Is it something to do with our atmosphere that makes it clearer, or like why would you not just do it from Earth?
Oh yeah, because the atmosphere. The atmosphere blocks like a ton. That's why like the Sophia that I was talking about would go above like, I don't know what elevation they would get to, but they would get as high as possible because you're cutting out a lot of like noise and stuff. You know, but then when you're out in space, you got no noise.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, everything in space, I feel like it just becomes now, you know, once you're out there, like something to do with the Earth's atmosphere that creates this, you know, in all, because, you know, everything's wavelengths. So it's like, I feel like something about Earth's atmosphere, it contains all that. So right when we get out in space, it's like, we don't need to be super far out. Once we're out there, it's good enough.
Yeah, like Earth blocks a lot of stuff.
And I've also heard that to go back to Mars, dude, they were, I don't know how true this is. I mean, I guess maybe you could, you know, put your 2 cents in, but that they were thinking about possibly making its own atmosphere on Mars. Human
to kind of like try to, like, I guess it wouldn't be terraforming, but like
what they would, exactly. I think that's exactly what it was. They were saying that they would basically send up parts to Mars in order to build an atmosphere. They would create this factory, you know, you know, emit certain greenhouse gases to create an atmosphere to warm the planet.
Yeah, I mean, like if the gravity, you know, if the
does that make sense? Like, is that actually possible?
I mean,
it sounds possible. It makes sense, but like, I don't know if that's something I just read that's like totally out of, like, no, there's no way.
I mean, it would probably take a long time.
Oh yeah.
To even like do, like, you know, if we got everything there and started the process, like it would, I don't know how long it would.
They said 1,000 missions. So
1,000 missions, like
1,000 launches, to get the stuff there. Just get the stuff there.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's feasible at all.
Yeah, and the budget for it would, they couldn't name the budget for it. It'd be insane. But that would be insane if we literally created a planet that, they said it's possible, but like, you know, I guess, you know, something that crazy, you could say anything's possible with infinite budget and infinite resources. Like anything like that is possible. Yeah. But that would be insane. There was a couple different, you know, things that we could do to try to create some type of atmosphere for Mars, but that was the one that to me seemed the most plausible. They were saying because they have ice caps in Mars, like these the polar ice caps, and they said that I think CO2 was stuck in the ice caps, and they would basically put black like dust on top of the ice caps to warm the ice caps, melt the ice caps, and create CO2. And it would release CO2.
Okay,
and they were like something like that. I was like, black dust, really? Like they're coming up with all, they got all kinds of crazy like ideas. Yeah, but I was like, I guess that would work.
Well, ever like, you know, I don't know what the percentage is now, but you know, the asteroid that's like kind of coming towards us and has like a 3% chance to hit us.
Yeah, it's a Latin word, I forget, but yeah, it means like death or something like that. The one that's supposed to come in the keyhole or whatever, like between like close enough between the moon and Earth. Yeah.
I mean, I remember because, you know, I was at Goddard when we launched OSIRIS-REx, which was like a asteroid mission. You know, we have like a few like asteroid divert missions, like DART, I think, is one. You know, I remember going to like a seminar or something on that, and they were like realistically, like, you know, you can't blow up an asteroid like they did in that one movie with Bruce Willis. I can't remember the name.
Armageddon. Armageddon.
Yeah. Because then you're just making a bunch of tiny asteroids. Yeah. Like still gonna hit Earth.
Yeah.
And, you know, like trying to push it away, sort of thing. I don't know what the certain percentage is, but like when it comes to asteroids, we only monitor like an infinitesimal like amount, like 2%, 3%, like of the asteroids, because they're so wonky in the trajectories and everything. So you can't really track them.
Wasn't it supposed to circle back like in 7 years or something like that? Yeah. Like if it, but they said something about if Earth's gravitational pull pulled it a certain way and it circled back, it would be, and to me that seems like super unlikely. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it, and he was saying like, oh, if it comes at this angle, I don't know if that's a scare tactic or just, you know, I don't know why you would.
It's one of those things where like we just don't know, because like as it gets closer, then, you know, scientists can do the math and kind of figure out like, you know, they raise the percentage, lower it, that sort of thing. But it's like, you know, there's so many bodies in space that we, you know are out there but aren't tracking in any way, because it would be like not possible.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when they come close, that's why you always see like, oh, like, you know, there's an Earth killer like coming away.
Oh, here it is.
Like, oh, and then it passed us. Like, okay, cool. Like, you know.
Well, because it's like to even that extent, I mean, you think of the length of humanity. It's not very long, and something in space to hit us.
Yeah.
Like the space is just so big. The universe is humongous. And the odds of something hitting us at this small timeline that we're on, it seems so unlikely. So that's why it's like, I don't know if these are just like something to,
Yeah, I mean,
scare you, or I don't know. It just doesn't seem very likely. Like, but I mean, you would know more than me. How precise are those projections? Are they very accurate?
So like the closer it gets, the more accurate they
Okay,
get.
got you.
So it's like,
So we could be super far off.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. But as far as like the point and location that it's at right now and where we think it's going, that's the projection we make.
Yeah. Like I feel like, I could be wrong here, but like when it gets close enough where it's going to kill us, it's also too late to divert it. So,
that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, by the time we're like, it's 100%, it's like, well, shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a day away.
Yeah, it's like, now let's see where it's going to hit.
Yeah. Well, how fast are asteroids traveling?
Oh, I don't know.
It's got to be going. It's whipping through.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty speedy.
Yeah, they're pretty speedy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a little bit of. Do you guys do research on like asteroids and comets and like? Is that all NASA as far as like, because I know we created a Space Force. Would that be under that branch of, or is that more military or?
It's more military.
Okay.
It's more, I think, like military satellites. Like I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. I like the Air Force and stuff like that. Like they have satellites. We don't know what they are.
Yeah.
What they do, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, I think OSIRIS-REx landed on, is it Danu or something like that? I forget the asteroid's name, but like we landed on it.
Wow.
I think a year ago, 2 years ago, or something like that.
That's fucking.
And it had like 3 or 4 like safety checks when it landed. Like 3 of them failed. Like they exploded.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah.
Well, so then, as far as like NASA, you guys are just space exploration, whereas Space Force would be more like
more military.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The defense of satellites and stuff like that.
Yeah, defensive satellites, like taking down, adversary satellites, that sort of thing.
I think that's going to be the new. I think nuclear warfare, or people think World War III is coming. I think that it's obsolete at this point. I think that the new, warfare will be. That's why I think Space Force and stuff like that, it was kind of genius to come up with, like, we need something in space, because that's going to be the new warfare.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, so there is a portion of NASA that tracks, like, all objects, orbiting the Earth.
Oh, really?
Like, all debris and stuff like that.
Okay.
Some debris just continually orbits. And that is, like, an apocalyptic scenario, is that if all the nations start blowing up each other's satellites and we start filling, that area with just crap, at a certain point, we can't launch new satellites because they just get hit by debris. So now you have no GPS. You have, like, you're losing all of these things that, humanity depends on.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, it would propel us, like, back hundreds of years. So.
Or like, so is like the Starlink's launching thousands of, rocket or, satellites up there. Do they have like GPS obviously probably on them that avoids other satellites, so they come fairly close to each other?
There's like tracking information, for like people that are operating the satellites and stuff like that.
So they're manually operated.
Well, they orbit like based, just off of gravity and stuff like that. So they're flying through space. You can make corrective measures to them because, they have little propulsion things usually on them where, like, you can expel like a little bit of air, kind of move the satellite, like because there's no gravity or anything, like a little bit, like a burst of air can move you pretty good.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how they'll maneuver a satellite. For the most part, they're just going, they're doing their thing. Like, most of our satellites, like, they do passes, like as they orbit certain like space ground stations and stuff like that. They'll do a pass, they'll kind of check in on the health, they'll pull down data that they need, they'll send up data that they need, and then it just kind of continues on for a few hours, gets the next one, they do the same. It's just like day in, day out. That's like there's a clock at a lot of, they're called MOCs, Mission Operation Centers. And, the countdown clocks. And it's just like, okay, like we got like 2.5 hours till the next pass. That's
okay.
When we're going to like.
And you guys handle all the satellites. Like, do you guys send any satellites up yourselves?
I mean, we kind of like James Webb existed at Goddard. Like we did a lot of the testing for that. The honeycomb array.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
it opens up. Have you seen that 3D like model of it? Like it opens up. Yeah, that thing.
I saw it in person.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, like I got paid.
I got the full view. I've seen it open up from me, a normal person, gym owner.
There before they packed it up and shipped it out
so
of California.
Sick. Yeah. For people that don't know, that it's a honeycomb shape, and it opens up to how big is it?
I can't remember the size, but like that was like when I watched it. Like first, that it made it to space. I was like, oh man, thank God.
Yeah.
And then that like every procedure worked because there was so many intricate things. With and unfolding everything. And I was just like something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
And it can't because it's so far out that unlike Hubble, we can't send, even if we had space shuttles, which we know, we couldn't send something to fix it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
so it unfolds in this honeycomb shape, and it unfolds open. Why exactly does it need that surface area? Is it just light? It needs the light.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
And then. But it starts off super small. Is that to launch it? Is that why it's okay?
Yeah,
so
you're restricted on the dimensions.
Okay, and then the light. Why exactly does it need the light?
Oh, that like helps power it.
Okay, gotcha. So it's like, is it just solar powered?
Solar powered. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And then that's now how it's operated is through the solar power.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's batteries like a lot of satellites have nuclear batteries on them. Because you can't rely on the sun 24/7. But yeah, like I want to say a lot of like pretty much every satellite has solar panels.
I've heard that we're going to nuclear for most of like the long term, like long term space missions is going nuclear. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make more sense because like if you're going further and further away from the sun, less and less power.
Okay. And then, well, I think as far as like nuclear in, to switch lanes, nuclear in the home, have you heard of that? Like people having the
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, right?
I'm all for that.
Infinite power. Like that's like
Fallout.
Yeah. Literally, bro. That's crazy. Like I honestly think that why not?
Yeah.
Could you contain it? Is that possible to contain it where it wouldn't be, Chernobyl?
Yeah, nuclear is like crazy safe.
Yeah.
Like I mean it's so much more safe than like coal is. Like gasoline and stuff like that. It's just when there's an event that happens, it's major.
Yeah.
Like, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, stuff like that. But a lot of that stuff was, the fault of just like people becoming complacent, shoddy management, that sort of thing. Yeah. Like most things, it's like it comes down to like management doesn't want to spend money.
Yeah.
Shit rolls downhill. Eventually there's a disaster.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I've heard, so Chernobyl was a meltdown. I don't know if, because have you ever seen that map that shows the nuclear tests per year through the U.S., all the different countries?
No.
There's a time lapse that shows through 1940s all the way till now of who's launched and detonated nuclear bombs. And U.S. is into the thousands. Russia has a couple thousand in there too. But you would think that would create some type of like, they're just launching in the ocean, or right now it's in Nevada or whatever. Right. You would think that would create some type of like, either hole in the ozone or be bad for people or whatever. But apparently, I don't know if you know anything about like what the effects of like, why is Chernobyl, you can't live there still 100 years from now, maybe, but Nagasaki and Hiroshima, you can live there today. Like, I don't really understand that.
So those were bombs as opposed to like an actual reactor.
Yeah.
Like I'm not super up on like, like nuclear science or anything like that. But like, when the bomb explodes, like the fusion core goes off, like there's a bunch of little like fusion explosions that happen that chain into other ones. And that's how you get that huge explosion. You get the radiation, the wind like kind of like pushes that away, you'll have fallout, but eventually that'll dissipate. I don't know what the actual science is, but it's like, like after 50 years or something, you're probably safe to like move back up there. Chernobyl was like, you had a core that was like uranium. So when that like became unstable, like I don't know what the decay rate for uranium is, but it's really long.
Yeah.
And so like unlike, a nuclear bomb that like goes off and everything kind of.
So in someone's home, would that be able to happen at a Chernobyl like incident?
Probably not.
No.
Like I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Well, if they're putting it in people's homes and they're trying to claim it safe, I feel like they would do some type of testing.
I'd imagine like the science behind it would be like, hey, like, you know, there's a little bit of uranium with like a half-life of like a week can power this house for like 10 years. So it's like, okay, if something happens that's bad with it, just leave the house like it's being fumigated for a week.
Yeah.
Come back.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, your nuclear reactor's
Like, oh shit, we dropped the
like
battery.
a water heater.
Yeah.
Like all the water heaters, we got to change it.
Like,
That'd be crazy. Is that possible? You think that we're actually going that direction?
I would like to see that. Like,
Yeah.
because I think like, you know, coal is, you know, obsolete. There's only so much of it. You know, it's really dirty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like nuclear is such a better option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great having you on, man. We could have gone on for like a couple hours of different stuff, but you know, super fun having you on. I definitely want to have you on again.
Yeah.
We can dive into some more topics, but thank you for the beer. The beer was how do you say it again?
Einstock.
This is actually a really good beer, to be honest.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Liquor store right here. God,
Yeah. Iceland was awesome, man. Like,
Yeah.
you should go sometime.
dude, we'll have to talk about Iceland because I'm trying to travel a little bit, but now Iceland might be on the resume right there.
Yeah, we can talk about it next time because I got lots to say about that place.
Awesome, perfect. Well, thank you for coming on, and we'll see everyone next time.
Cool.
Later.
All right.